This is the first day of the second half of Plein April. Well, I guess by the time this goes out, knowing how long it takes me to edit things, probably be playing Christmas or something. But I just wanted to start the video by saying a big thank you for all the comments that people have been leaving. It's really encouraging. This is obviously a very new channel, and I'm still learning the ropes. I've got a lot to learn about videoing myself and editing. So getting the comments that you've been leaving with suggestions and encouragement and knowing I'm getting something right, I really appreciate it. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you very much. Now today I'm off to visit my dad. He's 90, but he's very young 90. So I don't know how much sketching I'll get done. I'm going to cycle there though, because we're going to have a couple of glasses of wine together, I think. So I'll take my sketching stuff and let's see what we find. I ended up at one of my favourite haunts, the waterfront. But no, I didn't have much time. I simply chose a rather sort of nondescript building, really. An old maltings that was converted to apartments years ago. Well, as we know, Plein April is not about creating masterpieces every day. It's about forming a habit and getting out there and sketching as many days as we can. So today's subject, although it might not have been the most exciting location, at least it meant I still did a sketch. It would have been so easy to have just not bothered today. So I'm glad I went out and did it. I didn't put any colour wash on until I got home because I wanted to get to my dad's, where we did indeed enjoy a couple of glasses of wine. With beautiful blue sky and sunshine returning again the next day, we took a trip to the coast. This is South Wald on the east coast, and I'm going to head towards the Lighthouse to find something to sketch. There's a particular village green in South Wald that gives a fantastic view of the lighthouse and surrounding beach huts. In fact, there are numerous photos and paintings from that actual viewpoint, and that's what I had in mind today. However, I completely underestimated how strong the sea breeze was that day and quickly realised that I was totally underdressed for sitting in the cold of the biting wind. So I headed slightly further inland and found a more sheltered spot. I pencilled in the lighthouse itself because those angles can be a bit tricky, but the rest I just went straight in with pen. Adnams Brewery has been at the heart of South Wald since 1872, although records show that beer was actually brewed on site as far back as 1345. I was once told by someone who worked for Adnams that the shape of their pint glasses was based on the shape of the lighthouse, upside down of course. However, I can't find anything online to verify this, so please don't quote me on it. The author George Orwell, perhaps best known for 1984 and Animal Farm, lived in South Wald on and off in the 1930s, and there's a commemorative plaque on the house owned by his parents on the High Street. Some of the terraced houses had some interesting features. Today I decided to use a water brush, but I'm not really a fan of them. I just don't seem to be able to get enough water flowing through them for my liking. But maybe I just haven't perfected the technique yet. They are undoubtedly really handy to carry around. mind moving from Suffolk to the neighbouring county of Essex. Welcome to windy Wivenhoe. This is Wivenhoe House, a luxury hotel in Wivenhoe Park on the Essex-Suffolk border. Given how badly wrong my lines went with my old Schoolhouse in the last video, this one definitely needed some pencil lines before going in with my Sailor Fude pen. Good job I brought my fold-up chair and was sitting down, because apparently they have a sunken wall called a ha-ha, which is probably not the sound I'd make if I fell in it and broke my ankle. That was more complicated than it looked, to be honest, so I'm pleased the ink work's finished. And there's now a small plane doing little stunts and aerobatics above me. Unfortunately, I didn't catch it on camera. After doing a few brick buildings again, I fancied getting the bright colours out, so I went back to the seaside and sketched the amusement arcades. Knowing this one was going to take quite a long time due to the level of detail, I only made some very, very basic pencil marks, as I didn't want to spend even more time drawing everything twice effectively. But because I wanted to include quite a lot of detail, I chose the Schoolhouse Sport pen, and it got me thinking about pen choices. I don't know about you, but I find that the pen that I use can influence the way that I draw. For example, if I'm using a Fude nib, like the Sailor Fude de Manon, I draw much more loosely than if I'm using, for example, Twisby Eco or the Schoolhouse Sport. And some of that's obviously down to nib, but I think some of it's down to the size of the pen too. When I sketch, I hold my pen quite a long way back to get quite loose strokes, compared to when I'm writing and hold it much closer to the nib for more precision and control. But due to this very short size of the Schoolhouse Sport, you can't really do that. You have to hold it closer to the nib. And I've been using this one quite a bit more lately, and I've been really enjoying using it. And one of the drawbacks that I did mention in a previous video, I think it was the video about which fountain pen to use for sketching, which ones I use for sketching anyway, that it has an absolutely tiny converter. It holds 0.47mm, I think. So what I actually did, I bought a set of these blunt syringes. They were pretty cheap. I think they came in a pack of 5. And I took the cartridges, the free cartridges that came with the Schoolhouse, and I used the blunt syringe to empty out the ink, because the ink wasn't water resistant. Rinsed the cartridge out with water. Once it was completely dry, again using the blunt syringe, filled it using platinum carbon ink, which is water resistant and my favourite ink. It's quite handy because you save yourself the price of having to buy yet another converter, and it holds about 1 mil, which still obviously isn't a huge amount, but it's just over double what the converter can hold. So just a little tip there, if you're thinking about buying one of these but are a bit put off by the size of the converter, that might be useful to know. And finally, on to a very modern building, a lecture theatre at a local university, which actually proved to be quite a challenge, not only due to its circular shape, but also the fact that it looked like it's made of tinfoil, which is a paint effect I clearly have yet to master. And that's it for the third week, and I'll be back next week with a roundup of my first completed Plein April. Thanks for watching and happy sketching.